It started in smoke-filled factories and ended on playgrounds. One of the most valuable baseball cards in history came from a cigarette pack, and then it was pulled from production because one player refused to play along. This is how baseball cards went from tobacco to teenagers. In 1909, the T206 series was launched by the American Tobacco Company. It was massive, covering over 500 different player cards included in cigarette packs between 1909 and 1911. Then there's the one card that changed everything, Honus Wagner of the Pittsburgh Pirates. He was one of baseball's all-time greats, yet he objected to his image appearing in a tobacco product. Some say he opposed children buying cigarettes to get the cards. Others say it was simply a pay dispute. Production of his card was cut short. Today, estimates suggest only around 50 to 60 known copies exist. Even more remarkable, a copy of the Wagner T206 sold for roughly $7.25 million in a private sale. But this story isn't just about extreme value. It marks the moment collecting became serious. Scarcity plus story equals status. For the first time, a card's importance wasn't just the player, but the why behind it. With tobacco cards fading and new advertising restrictions on the rise, the years between World War I and World War II saw the hobby evolve quietly, but not disappear. The end of the tobacco era wasn't accidental. In the 1910s, moral campaigns and government pressure began to target cigarette advertising, especially those aimed at youth. As laws tightened and public opinion shifted, tobacco companies stepped back from including cards in their packs. By 1915, most of the great tobacco issues like the T205 and the T207 sets had ended. But the spirit of collecting lived on. Candy and caramel companies stepped into the void. Kids could now find baseball heroes tucked inside boxes of Cracker Jack, E120 American Caramel, and National Chickle Diamond Stars. These so-called pre-war cards had a different audience. No longer men buying tobacco, but children buying sweets. The 1933 Goudey set redefined the hobby with bold colors, large portraits, and a first modern-feeling checklist featuring 4 different Babe Ruth cards and Lou Gehrig smiling front and center. Even through the Great Depression, kids found a way to collect. A penny or two could buy a pack, small luxuries in tough times, and players became heroes they could hold in their hands. Then came World War II. Paper shortages, ink rationing, and factory conversions halted most card production. Yet that pause built up decades of nostalgia, setting the stage for an explosion when the war ended. By the late 1940s and early 1950s, Bowman and TOPPS revived the hobby. Bowman, a Philadelphia-based gum company, was first out of the gate, producing post-war sets that reintroduced players to a new generation of fans. Their 1948 issue featured legends such as Stan Musial and Yogi Berra, and marked the return of true baseball photography after years of artistic illustrations. Then came TOPPS, which took the concept further. By 1952, they weren't just selling gum with cards. They were selling cards with gum. The now famous 1952 TOPPS set, designed by Cy Berger on his kitchen table, introduced larger card sizes, player bios, stats, and bright team logos, creating the blueprint for every modern sports card that followed. These weren't throw-ins anymore. Kids bought packs for the cardboard itself. Each new release became an annual event, and the trading cards turned from a quiet pastime into a nationwide ritual. By the early 1960s, baseball cards weren't just for kids, they belonged to kids. TOPPS dominated the decade with bigger print runs, cleaner photography, and sharp designs. The company controlled nearly the entire market, creating iconic sets that defined an era. One card in particular symbolized that shift, the 1961 TOPPS Roger Maris No. 2. That same year, Maris shattered Babe Ruth's single-season home run record, hitting 61 homers and capturing the nation's imagination. His 1961 card became an instant classic, not because it was scarce, but because it represented a moment. Kids traded it in schoolyards, flipped it against walls, and tucked it into their bike spokes. And decades later, they still remember exactly where they were when they pulled it from a pack. Baseball cards had fully transformed, from adult advertising novelties to the fabric of American youth culture. From Honus Wagner standing up to the tobacco giants, to Roger Maris becoming every kid's hero, the first 60 years of baseball cards tell the story of how collecting grew up. And the rules they wrote still apply today. Scarcity drives the chase. Stories build value, and every card has a history. These aren't just pieces of cardboard. They're snapshots of culture, moments frozen in time that connect generations of collectors. If you love discovering hidden hobby history and legendary stories that shape the game, make sure to subscribe, because next week we're digging even deeper as we go beyond the cardboard.